Our Alex Perez spent time today with Illinois Governor David Pritzker on the streets of Chicago and on the Chicago River. The governor is saying he's not yet heard from the president or Defense Secretary Hegseth on the potential deployment of National Guard or federal military personnel around the city. But that's not stopping him from preparing for a fight in court. Alex Perez is in Chicago, where he just spoke to the governor. Alex, what did he tell you?
Yeah, Stephanie, President Trump has been threatening to deploy National Guardsmen here on the streets of Chicago for weeks now. I spoke with the governor here of Illinois just a short time ago, and he said he will do whatever he can to stop that from happening. Governor, today in the Oval Office, the president mentioned your name several times. He blamed you for crime in Chicago, said this is all your fault. Your response to that?
Well, appreciate his recognizing that Chicago actually has had a drop in crime. Significantly, in fact, in halves in the last 4 years. And we've had a murder rate that's dropped by 37% just in the last year. We're very pleased about the progress that we're making. I know that I live rent-free in the president's head, and I wish he would spend some time in Chicago so that he could see what a lovely city we have.
Governor, quick follow-up. What do you do if the National Guard is activated and comes here? Can you take preemptive action? What happens?
Look, first thing we're going to do is take him to court because it's illegal, it's unconstitutional. Frankly, it's un-American to send troops into an American city the way that he wants to fight crime. There is literally a law on the books that says he's not allowed to do that. So we're going to stand against that. We're going to make sure that he's held accountable for that. And most importantly, he should know that there is no emergency in the city of Chicago. I think you can see what a lovely place this is. I just walked on the lakefront this morning and walked to dinner last night with my wife. Yes, like other major cities across the United States, there is crime. But indeed, it is dropping precipitously in the city of Chicago, and it's in part because of the work that we're doing at the local level. If he wasn't taking away funding for police, if he wasn't taking away funding for fighting crime, things would be even easier. But unfortunately, he is creating a challenge for all of us and defunding police.
Do you think this is punishment for being a sanctuary city?
Well, let me be clear. The President of the United States doesn't even understand what that term means. And I'm very pleased that we have a safe city that is protective of all of our residents, the people who are following the law, people who are paying their taxes, people that are our friends and our neighbors. If he is to live up to his promise, what he ought to be doing is allowing us to prosecute people who actually commit crimes. And if they are undocumented, we would keep them in prison for whatever term they are committed to, and then deport them. We've asked for that. That doesn't seem to be what this president wants to do. He just wants to pick people up off the streets without warrants and toss them out of the country. Some of them even have been U.S. citizens.
Governor, what's your concern if the National Guard were to be federalized and on the streets of Chicago? What is your concern?
Well, my deep concern is that they're going to cause people to want to protest. They're going to create turmoil where there is none. We've got a city that's peaceful. We have challenges like other big cities, but ours are not as big as the challenges in red cities and in red states. So the problem is Donald Trump is causing a problem because he is an authoritarian, and he wants to militarize our cities for his own power grab.
Is there anything the federal government could do to help that you would welcome?
Oh my gosh, well, we work with the federal government all the time, the ATF, the FBI. We have task forces that our state police and our local Chicago police are engaged with them in, and they've been very effective. Look at how we brought crime down, working together with them and at the local level. So they ought to continue to fund the programs that we've been using and that have been working instead of defunding the police.
The president seems to be targeting 4 cities, all led by black mayors. Is that a coincidence, you think, or?
You know, I don't want to accuse him of anything, but I think there's some evidence now that he is targeting places that with people that he doesn't respect, doesn't like, and that he's doing it simply, purely for political purposes, and because ultimately what he wants to do is shut down these cities, militarize them, and make sure that there are no elections going forward.
National Guard is trained to deal work in war zones. They're not trained to deal like a civilian police force. Are you concerned about that?
I am deeply concerned about that. Our National Guard are extraordinarily well trained. They are trained to go to war, and they have done so admirably on behalf of the United States and the people of Illinois abroad. But they're not trained to go into American cities and police them. And a great deal of respect for them, are members of the National Guard, but they shouldn't be sent into their to cities to police or attack citizens of the United States in the borders of the United States.
Would you seek an injunction if this happens?
We are in fact prepared to go to court if they take any action that we think is a violation of the Constitution or the law.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.
Appreciate you very much.
Alex, a very insightful and extensive interview there with the governor. And as you know, he held a press conference. What else did he say about the president and the possibility of National Guardsmen there in Chicago?
Well, Stephanie, the governor here was flanked by the mayor of the city of Chicago, members of Congress from Illinois, and dozens of community leaders from here in Chicago as well, all sort of hammering home the same point, that they don't see this being about crime. They see this as the president having an axe to grind against blue cities, blue states, Democratic governors and Democratic leaders. They say if the president wanted to help with crime in the area, he would be funding and investing programs that help prevent violence rather than cutting some of those programs. And this group of people that joined the governor here, Stephanie, all made it very clear that they do not want to see the National Guard here on the streets of Chicago because they fear that presence might actually lead to protests that could then become violent and create more chaos here in the city. They say the answer is to keep the National Guard away and continue to do what the city has done that has brought them a 30% decrease this year, they say, in violent crime so far, and they believe that will continue to drop as the year continues to move forward if they just keep doing what they are doing. They see this this interaction from the president as something that would just interrupt the current program that's happening right now that's helping to deter crime, Stephanie. So they say they will do whatever they can to stop that National Guard from ending up here on the streets of Chicago. Stephanie?
We'll definitely see how this all plays out. And in your conversation with the governor, you brought up Chicago's mayor, who's also stepping in on this, calling on the White House to release funding for Chicago that's being held up. We'll see how that plays out as well. Alex Perez for us tonight in Chicago. Thank you so much for that insightful conversation.